Today we will talk about polar coordinate system. So let's get started. The polar coordinate system is represented by an ordered pair r, theta. R is the radius and theta is the angle. Theta is positive if it's measured counterclockwise from the polar axis, which is the horizontal axis here. And it's negative if it is measured clockwise. Okay, so we are looking for r theta instead of xy, but there's a relationship between r theta and xy. As you see from the right angle triangle, x squared plus y squared is r squared. So if you are given x and y, you can calculate the r. And the other thing is tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent, y over x. And then the x is simply r cosine theta and y is r sine theta. So I know these relationships. So I can calculate, for example, r and theta from a given rectangular coordinate system. For example, you have an ordered pair 1, negative 1. What is that in terms of r, theta? So you first go and calculate r, 1 squared plus negative 1 squared. That gives you rad 2. Then you go calculate theta. Tan theta is y over x, and you already have the y, which is negative 1, x is 1. So tan theta is negative 1. The arctangent of that is going to be two possible things. If it is negative pi over 4, it's clockwise. 7 pi over 4, it's counterclockwise. And I represent it as rad 2, which is the radius, comma, negative pi over 4, or rad 2, comma, 7 pi over 4. How do I do that in my graphing calculator? There are a couple of things you need to do. So, go and just set your calculator to make sure you select the radian mode and the angle menu. So let's go and get the radian mode here. So I am sure that it is radian mode. So you can put it polar if you want here. So let's look at it. I go and I enter 1, negative 1, and I want to convert that to polar coordinate system. So the way you do that, you go and get, here's the angle menu, second angle, and there is this thing here, R, it looks like an arrow, PR, so it takes the rectangular and then changes to polar. So you go, okay, when I do that, this has a sub r. That's going to give me the radius. If I use this one, it's sub theta. That's going to give me the angle. So let's do this one first. 1, negative 1. And I simply enter my Cartesian coordinate system. And it goes and finds 1.41. Okay, and that is rad 2, as you see. And I did that by hand without using graphing calculator before. Now let's go see the same kind of thing, but this time I'm going to use the theta one. So here's the angle menu. R2 polar. Here it is, 1, negative 1. And you push, and it's going to give you the theta, which is negative pi over 4, negative 0.7854. Then you can draw a picture, negative 0.7, it found this one, and you can look what that is. It is an angle like this, and just kind of try to find what that corresponds to when you go counterclockwise, and you can go and get 7 pi over 4 from there. So it's pretty easy because this is built in. Now, let's try to go from polar to rectangular. Let's say I have a polar coordinate of 2, pi over 3, and I want to go to Cartesian coordinate system. You know that this is simply x equals r cosine theta. You just plug that in, you get 1. y equals r sine theta, you just plug it in and rad 3. So 1 comma rad 3 is in Cartesian coordinate system, so that's not very hard, but those also have some built-in functions. You do the same thing. You go to angle menu, and this time I'm going to go from polar to Cartesian. Here it is. This is going to give me my x-coordinate, which is going to be, now I'm going to enter the polar, which happens to be 2 for r, comma, pi over 3. Here's my pi. Oh, oops. Here's pi divided by 3. Here we go. So I am supposed to get the x-coordinate. Here it is, 1. So you do the same thing, second angle, and this time I'm going to get the y-coordinate. Here you go, and that's going to be 2 comma pi over 3. Here it is, over 3, and that should give me the y-coordinate, and it does, 1.73, which happens to be rad 3. So that's pretty easy, but using formulas is also pretty easy. But you know that under angle menu, you do have those options. Let's say I want to graph a polar function. So this is what you do. You have to go and set it to polar. And I already did that. You kind of go here under mode. And you have these options. Here's Cartesian, here's parametric, here's polar. Go pick that up and enter. And then when you go out of here, your calculator has it in the polar system. So let's say I want to do this, 3 sine 2 theta. The beauty of this is when you push this button here, it's going to be theta. It is already adjusted for you. Then you can go and you can pick your window, and your window is here, 0 to 2 pi, and you enter 2 pi as 2 times pi. Here we go. And when you go down, it will change it to the number. And the steps is just automatic. Let's go from -6 to 6, from -4 to 4. And when you push graph, it's going to draw this picture. And it's very, very handy. All that is built in. Just once you get practice, you'll be able to do all these button strokes very, very efficiently.